Hey guys, welcome back to the show. It's time for the daily morning live stream or whatever I call it lately. High yield live stream. All right, go to the market. I was just checking out Bitcoin and I made a Bitcoin play the other day that worked out all right. It was a short. Remember I told you guys about it when it fell up here. But all right, so let's look at SPY. The other side of the story is I also got SPY. I also have SPY puts, and those so far haven't worked out. I'm just burning. They're just losing value right now, decaying. The market hasn't moved down far enough. I need the market to move down. All right, so that's the way it goes. All right, so but the market for whatever reason is holding up strong. It does seem like all the buying gets cut off when it gets up there. It just unable to bust the top so far. And the Qs are just basically straight sideways this morning, down 4 basis points. Not a whole lot to see there. We'll check out gold futures. Gold futures are actually up 1%, which is nice. There's a 30-minute chart of what they've been doing lately. Let's look at silver futures. Silver futures are up 3.28, and I guess we're going to start having to look at copper futures. And I don't even know the symbol for copper futures, but let's just let's do a little search for it. What's copper symbol in the periodic table? Sometimes is copper in the Sometimes they just use the symbol there, but I don't see that. I don't think they have copper. May not have copper futures. Let's see. Oh, I see. I made a typo. There we go. HG. I wonder if I think HG's. I wonder if HG's copper. You know how AU's gold, and anyway, I think AU's gold. I took like one science class, and I wasn't big into science. All right. Anyway, that's a classic reversion to mean in this time frame what copper's doing. But Curve came out with a new copper fund, so we'll start keeping an eye on that as well. Marcus, do you have any of that Curve copper fund yet, partner? Just curious. You don't have to say if you do. All right, guys, remember, I'm going to put the disclaimer up there for a second. Remember, it's not financial advice. All right, so let's check out some other stuff. Let's check out the diversified divas. All right, so this is all updated this morning. Let's look at the daily percent change, which is where we're at. These are the change of all the days. So going back to October. And you can see we've had some tremendous days. Some days where blocks was up 10% on that day. Well, ULTI was up 10% on that day. Blocks and ULTI were probably both up 6-7% on that day. 4 days ago, blocks was up 12.6. And LFGY was up 9.4. ULTY was up 10 or 9.5. Just a monster day. And then the next day after that, we had ULTI back up 9. And anyway, then we had a bad day a kind of an average day where everyone went down. And then today we have some up, some down. It looks like Chippy and ULTY. Heck yeah, ULTY are up. The rest are down. So let's look at the rolling percent return. Of course, Chippy's up today and it's up 14%. SPY is beating any of these funds right now. It doesn't matter any of them. It's beating any of them. It's plus 1.94. Qs are beating all of them too. Qs are minus and they're still beating all of these. QLDY is the closest of this group of people. It basically follows right behind the Qs, just a little bit behind. But then there's quite a pullback to the rest. Then we have GPTY and K yield down 10, 12%. Well, 11, 12%, something like that. K yield's actually down almost 13, and GPTY is down 11, so 11 and a quarter. But they're kind of the next group, and then we run into blue, true blue, which is ULTY from YieldMax. The strategy change has been helping it, I think, in general lately. I mean, compared to some of the other ones. But it's working today because it's one of the only high risk ones that are actually up. It's only down 18%. WPay is down 20%. So ULTY is beating WPay. LFGY is really taking it on the chin, down 25%. And this was a quarter at the end of the past month. So now it's a quarter in 10 days, right? Because November, December, January. Yeah. And now we're in early February. Okay. So this is based on a quarter. This is based on a quarter. And then we have these guys down here, blocks and ULTI. I mean, gosh darn it. But of course, to say crypto's weak, I mean, that's why I got puts in IBIT. I mean, crypto's terrible. Crypto tried to break out, and it looked to me like it failed. And so anyway, these guys need crypto to go up to be sure. And until it does go up, they will not be that good, in my opinion. I think the other ones will do better. So, all right. We got a couple of comments. Let's see who else here. We got Mark. Sorry to mention Mark. And we got Andre. Andre wants to thank both of you for finding a deal. I want to take credit for it. It was my idea because I'm the one that always doesn't like to type and has a broken finger, has a finger that doesn't work, and I abbreviate everything. So I started calling it Divi in Discord a long time ago. I used to spell it D-I-V-I, but now I spell it D-I-V-Y. I realize I'm not the only person that calls it Divi. So actually it's me. No, but actually I had no idea there was a fund named Divi. That was Marcus. Good job, Marcus. Marcus said, there's a fund named that. I didn't know that because I remember yesterday I said it'd be a good name for a fund. Anyway, yes, it is a good looking fund. It is a good looking fund. And those other four, those 4X funds are really going to be good. But remember, the way X funds works, if you aren't bullish on the asset that the fund is covering, it's probably going to, probably not going to be a good situation. But if those assets that the fund is covering, i.e. gold, nuclear power, what's the other one? Whatever, they have 3 or 4 of them. If those assets are hot, then we'll have something like Chippy. Chippy's a prime example of how these funds work. Chippy is not a better fund. That Chippy is not any different than LFGY. It's the same freaking fund, 100%. They do the same strategy, has the same managers, the same company. The only thing that is the difference is what stocks they track. Now you could say that, that Chippy's a different fund than blocks or ULTI or something that does some exotic riskier strategy. But when you're comparing Chippy to LFGY and people say LFGY sucks, well, LFGY's underlying suck, but it's the same fund as Chippy. And in fact, if you think back to this summer, LFGY looked just like Chippy does now. So at the end of the day, it's all about picking the right stock, right? And Marcus, a lot of you guys in here are good at that, and so you guys should have a natural ability. I don't know if Andre's in Discord. Yeah, exactly. Some people don't do Discord. I don't even share the link. I don't really publicize it much anymore. I figure we have enough people in there, but if somebody wants to get in, they ask me. Well, it's not really by invitation only, but I mean, this obviously, my Discord's never going to turn into Rod's Discord or it's never going to be like Brad. I'm never going to make any money at this, and that's fine. I'm not trying to. So I'm fine with the people we have in Discord right now. We have a good group. However, as we meet new people in here, it is fun to recruit them, which is what Marcus is doing to Andre. Andre, yeah, we would love to have you in here or anyone else that's watching. Get a hold of Marcus. He kind of, Marcus or Mark, or we have 2 or 3 people who kind of help me at the Discord. All right. Marcus said, Max, I don't hold any of the income metals. They might be inconsistent. Sometimes I'd rather hold the growth versions partially. Yeah. Okay. Good point. Well, that's the other thing. And Marcus, and the other thing is you have a job, but maybe when you're my age and you're retired from your job, it might, you might have more of a case for the income-based ones. But yeah, but I hear you, Marcus, say, because the income, of course, is a tax on the upside. So if you're bullish on metals and think they're going to triple over the next couple of years, yeah, don't do any of the income ones. Now, if you're retired and you need some income, it is good to pick out an income asset whose underlying is going to go up. So if you're retired and you realize that you're going to leave most of the upside on the table, then one of those could work for you. But yeah, but I agree with that. I'd say with all of these, it's about, don't get SPY, get SPY. I've said that. Don't get QQQI. No matter how good triple QI is, it's not as good as the Qs. Never will be. Unless you're retired and you need an income. And you've already, especially if you've already had it, maybe you've already made a little bit of money in the SPY. But yeah, but that I agree with that 100% on all of these. Just get the underlying. I'm not trying to push these like some other influencers are. They're perfect for me. They have a good use case for me, but not for everybody. All right, UIVM. I'm trying to push the option strategy as a lifestyle. What I get happiest is when I see people look at these funds and start doing the strategy themselves. That's what my niche is, or that's kind of the lane I'm trying to fill. But for people that don't know how to do that or don't have time or whatever, these funds definitely a use case. All right, UVIM, we have a request. Okay, well, let's look over here. UVIM. Okay, it's not showing up. Maybe it's a new fund. Okay, well, here's a description of it. It looks like Andre's been holding it for years. Good job, Andre. So, and then I guess RJ is, what's that mean, RJ? I thought maybe RJ was telling us the underlines in UVIM. Maybe that is the underlines in UVIM. It's probably a closed-end fund, maybe, and it's not in FinViz. But I know lots of closed-end funds are in FinViz. But, oh, check this out, okay? Check this out. All right. Let's get on a better one here. Hey, Claude. Hey, let me ask you a question. UVIM, it's an ETF, or one of my friends told me about it. It's U as in uncle, V as in Victor, I as in igloo, M as in Michael. Can you find out what the heck it is and give me some information on it? All right, so we'll let him work. Oh, UIVM. Hey. All right, I'll just punch it in instead of wasting my time on that. UIVM. By the way, voice Claude is a lot easier because you guys know, I mean, I have a finger that doesn't work. My typing's atrocious. I really do know how to spell, but I have a finger that does not cooperate. So the voice is really, so I apologize for all the typos you guys have to look at. You know how many times I have it like a double capital, or something messed up. Okay, so UIVM is the Victory Shares Emerging Markets. This is Victory Capital, who I don't think we've ever heard of Victory Capital. Anyway, Victory Shares. Okay, well, it's a 3-star Morningstar. International Value Momentum. Well, that reminds me of this one. In fact, I'm working on a video on it now on that IMOM. Skeptic gave me one last night that says Igloo Mike, Oscar Mike, IMOM, and it's an international momentum. Looks really interesting. So does this. So does this. Let's look at this 1-year total return. I mean, it was a big year for value. Or for I'm not international. I guess it is value, but it's international. It's mainly a big year for internationals. They were up more than 40%. That IMOM was doing great last year also. And then that QMOM is a good looking fund also. Maybe I'll have to throw this one into the mix and compare the three of them. I'm working on content on momentum, international momentum. I'm making content for you Marcus, because you sent me that IMOM to my attention. So I figured you're interested. And actually stayed up last night working on that a little bit. All right. So Andre is saying they don't usually miss a month of dividends. Who missed a month? Oh, did UIVM miss a month of dividends? So let's go back here. Let's look. Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. Heck yeah, they did. Well, they did miss a month in August. And they missed them. And last year they did a couple around the end of the year. They usually do one for the regular month and then maybe a special one. They had like a regular dividend of 6 cents. Then they had, it looks like a special dividend maybe of 17 cents. Then right after the first of the year, they had probably just a regular monthly dividend of 5%. But then they didn't have anything in February, but they didn't even give us a January anything this year. So looks like the fund's doing all right, but for some reason they aren't paying a yield. So now it doesn't pay a huge yield. I mean, even with the special, I mean, it looks like it maybe pays 10 times a year. It looks like it paid 8 times. It looks like it paid 9 times. I can count. So sometimes it pays 2 cents. Sometimes it pays 17 cents. Sometimes it pays 52 cents, 53 cents. Huh. That's an interesting one. That is an interesting one. It's probably not a high enough yield to be on the max factor, but it is an interesting one. Andre says he holds CDL as well from Victory Shares. Okay, well, that's interesting. Let's go let's see what other Victory Shares, or let's look about Victory Capital. Who are these guys? Who are these guys? Who do we have? We had Dave Brown. Anyone heard of him? Victory, Manic Dillon, Thompson. Never heard of any of these guys. Where are they out of? All I ever care about is where are people out of. I'm looking at that right there. You can tell by looking at the landscape. I'm going to say that's Dallas or Atlanta or somewhere. They aren't out in New York, I bet. That could be Connecticut. All right, let's go see where they're out of. I love that game, GeoGuessr. I'm a geography nerd. They're out of Columbus, Ohio. Okay. All right. Well, somewhere, I got the idea that it was in Middle America. I said Atlanta, but okay, Columbus. There weren't enough pine trees to be Atlanta. On enough big, tall pine trees. All right. RJ saying, isn't emerging ETFs more like momentum now given? Well, I think like anything could be momentum. You could theoretically have a utility fund, but the utility sector could have momentum and show up on momentum screeners and get into I think momentum is usually screened for, and it's usually formulaic or algebra mathematical. I'm pretty sure the way most momentum people do is some type of formula. But yeah, so anything can have, that's the whole idea, because you don't know what's going to be the next thing to have momentum. In theory, if you've been a momentum investor, you may have bought Murni 2 months, a month ago when it started going up, and people are going, well, how stupid would you have to be? Or Moderna, whatever, Murni, Moderna, it doesn't matter. But you know what I'm saying? And that people, how stupid, why would you buy that thing? That thing's a terrible company, and it could be a terrible company and still have momentum. There's terrible companies that sometimes will double or triple their value before they eventually go the other way. But guess what? Momentum works both ways. Jackson, what are you doing, bud? Jackson, what are you looking for? You have food right there. You have water. What's going on? You all right? All right, Jack, let me let him out. So maybe he wants to go out here. You want to go walk around or something? All right. Come here, little puppy. Let me see this little puppy. Come here. Come here, mate. All right, I was trying to show off the little puppy. All right, so let's look at Freedom versus VWO. Freedom versus VWO. What type of? I'm a financial professional. All right. Well, yeah, one thing we're going to look at is their. I'll look at that in a second, but here's all their things. So they have CFA, Victory Shares, US 500, volatility, WTTD. Oh, weighted. Okay. Volatility, CFO. So that's interesting. Probably you get more of the stocks that are less volatile, or maybe it's reverse. Maybe they weighted where you get more of the stocks that are more volatile, and that would be more of a momentum strategy. But it would be more of a value strategy if you allocated the stocks that were less volatile. Anyway, that's interesting. Look, free cash flow, GFLW, Victory Shares, free cash flow, growth ETF. Heck yeah. They have some interesting sounds in here. They have a U.S. value momentum also. Anyway, okay, so what are you saying? You're saying FRDM versus VWO. FRDM versus DWO or VO? VWO. VWO. Well, that Freedom's looking pretty dang good. Look at the NAV alone's gone from $30 to $60. 2.5 years, doubled his price. So let's compare. Let's do this. Let's compare Freedom to the SPY. I bet it doesn't beat the SPY. It actually probably does. We'll see though. It does, but it just happened recently. It just took off lately. Okay, well, Freedom's obviously value stocks also. I could just tell by looking. It's either, if to do this recently, it had to have been value. So, all right, well, good job. Hey, does anyone else here do Kalshi? I played Kalshi last night, and Kalshi is fun. I know I did it the night of the Super Bowl, but I didn't know how to work it. Kalshi's awesome. Kalshi is a blast. I watched like 3 or 4 basketball games. Basketball is perfect sport for Kalshi. I mean, that's so much fun. Anyway, many ETFs are not paying January with big distros in December. Yeah, I guess that's true. They do the best distribution to put it in that tax year, and then they skip a payment. Yeah, that makes sense. Good call. Good call, Randy. I should have stayed in accounting. I would have known that answer, but I only was in accounting. I took the first 2 classes and hated it, and switched my major to political science. All right, so I know accounting is not the same thing as tax law, but accountants generally know tax law because Anyway, all right. So Andre's saying he used CLD as sort of a monthly paying SCHD type fund. Well, interesting. Okay. CLD. So let's just punch that in. Okay. Did I have it as a CDL or something? Did I punch it in wrong? Yeah, probably it is CDL, obviously. All right. Yeah. Man, it was at the start of this year. It's whenever gold and silver got crushed. Remember that happened right after the first year, and Bitcoin's been getting crushed the whole time. The money has to go somewhere else. But whatever money's left after the money they lost in that other asset, whatever money's remaining has to go somewhere else. And I think we figured out where it's going to. I think we figured it out. Look at these companies, Johnson and Johnson. I don't know what Evergy is. I've never heard of Evergy, but Coca-Cola, CME, that's a good company. CME's taken off. That's the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. They actually own they own the S&P 500, the Merc. That's their product, is the S&P futures product. The SPX is owned by the Chicago Board of Options. But these guys are just printing money because of the gamification of the market, and because everyone's in the market. There's so many confluences here with something like the CME. CME is that's a solid company. All right, WEC, that's energy. Okay, CMS, I don't know what that is. Oh, energy, American Electric Power Energy, Duke Energy, of course. DTE, and well, it's all about energy, isn't it? Yeah, but that's a yeah. I'm sorry on the. Oh yeah, so you were the one that messed it up too. I got you. You corrected it after that on the CLD, CDO, whatever. All right. Hey, William. Good afternoon, bud. What day? Was it Wednesday? Gosh darn! I kind of want to go listen to that Yield Max thing today. Does anyone know if Jonathan's, or it's not Jonathan's deal? I associate with Jonathan because he's over on Twitter. But it's actually Wolf Financial's deal. Anyway, does anyone know if that's on? And I need to go listen to it. Yeah, people are grabbing small cap emerging funds. That's right. Freedom. Oh, Freedom's in GX. That's where we've seen it before. Okay, it's in GX. That's nice to know. Emerging International. Great, great, great. One of Andre's favorite ones is called, okay, Jackson, leave the puppy alone. Jack, hang on a second. They're trying to fight over food. I'm going to take the food away so they don't fight over it. All right. Yeah. So one of your favorite ones is called Boat. Okay. Well, Jackson, you can eat the food, but you just eat it right here. Don't fight with the puppy. Sorry about that, guys. My bad. Hey, thanks for showing that to me. Sorry about the all caps. I guess I have all caps on. All right, I'm back, RJ. But seriously, let's get. I want to go listen to that. I want to go listen to that other thing. I'm bored of talking. We'll talk more after the. We'll talk more after the market closes. These are some good ones. Anything that I need to follow up on, Marcus will forward to me in Discord. Anyway, I need to stay focused. I'm having a hard time, getting the station going. So I'm making today's videos are going to be on iMom and QMom, and I'm also making a video maybe for tomorrow that's about the 5 worst yield max funds, and Feet is number 1. There's 4 other dogs too, to be sure, but Feet is number 1. So that's coming up tomorrow. So I need to focus on my content, but I'm going to go listen to the Yield Max live stream right now because I'm interviewing Mike on Monday, and I don't want to ask him anything he's covered right here. That would be that would not be productive. So but I also can get him to clarify stuff that he's talking about today. So I've got to go listen to it. Anyway, I'll meet you guys over there. What are you saying about Misty, Randy? Are you saying you want to? Randy's saying go all in on Misty. Randy said go all in on Misty. If you lose money, no, I'm just joking. Randy buys beers if we lose. Let's go all buy Misty, and if we lose money, Randy's going to buy the next round. I mean, it's a deep value. It's definitely oversold. I know it. I'm just joking. RJ. Murney. Oh yeah, Murney. Yeah. Murney's incredible lately. Remember when all those people were wanting to kick it out of WiMAX? And I'm not opposed to that. Okay, that's fine. That's why you just go start your own ETF. But the whole idea of a fund of funds, that's the whole families. You want the whole family in there. That'd be like kicking the worst performer out of WPay. And a lot of people are for that also. But the problem is, when do you put it back in? It's no longer the worst performer. It's now mid-pack. I mean, on a fund of funds or an index, it'd be like saying I like the S&P 500 in 2023, but man, they ought to kick Tesla out because it was down like 80% or something. Tesla saw the S&P 5. The S&P. No, you got to be a big boy and play by the rules. When you buy an index, it includes everything in the index. Anyway, so I've always disagreed with people that said that WiMAX would be great if they kicked out the junk. I don't disagree with them. They're right. Yeah, if they could find a mechanical way to just use the top funds or whatever, but how do you do that? When do you rebalance? How do you use the top funds? We've seen Dorsey Wright try to do that and fail miserably. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, what's Andre saying? He's saying Round Hill's losing AUM fast on their weekly paying funds. I think everyone's losing AUM that has those old-fashioned funds. Defiance, Round Hill, Yield Max. There's better funds out now. There's people like David Nicholas knocking on their door. There's people like Matthew Tuttle. There's people like David Jaganski. I mean, there's better options out there. Options are right. Better opportunities out there for income investors. Not that some of those old-fashioned, just full-covered call funds can't work. They work really well in a down market. In a down market, you actually want Yield Max, but they outperform a lot of these other fancier ones. But in an up market, they're going to get left in the dust. So, I mean, I think Round Hill has some great funds, but yeah, there's just better things coming out. When XDTE came out, it was awesome because it was beating the Defiance and Yield Max funds. So if you wanted an index and you wanted to earn 30-35%, and you didn't want some of the side, that was the only show in town. Well, there's better opportunities out there now. You can get, lots better opportunities. But yeah, so they'll all use they're losing AUM, true, but also Round Hill and Yield Max have a lot of AUM to lose because they were first out of the gate and they've built their AUM so high. I mean, heck, ULTY still has $1 billion in it, and it'll have more as soon as Bitcoin rallies. People will jump back in. They'll think that. This thing doesn't have erosion. Look, it hasn't eroded the past month. Well, no, the price is good. The price of the underline's going up, right? You guys won't fall for that track, but the other guys will. So Marcus is saying WPay just needs to drop the equal weight. Yeah, I'm not saying there's not a way they couldn't do it better, Or maybe, how about this? Maybe they run a scanner every month and they just put the ones that are in the top half, you know, or something like that, you know, or the top 3 quarters. So you drop the bottom 1 quarter. I mean, you'd have to test it, and, you know, but I'm not saying there could be something they do, but it's not enough to just, you know, you have to suggest an actual solution. Marcus's solution is, I guess, probably momentum weighted or cap weighted, but not equal weighted. Yeah, I got you. All right, guys, meet me over at Twitter. I'm gonna go listen to that. I'm gonna go listen to the show. Hey, Bon, sorry, it looks like you just got here, but we're gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go listen to the Wolf Financial Spaces and see what's going on in Yield Max Land. And plus, I'm gonna work on these videos. I have some videos coming out. All right, William, thank you for being here. Thank you, Bon. Thank you, Andre. Thank you, everybody. I will talk to you guys soon. Remember, not financial advice. Remember, you can always like and subscribe. And I'll put my PayPal up there just in case anyone doesn't know it. You guys all know it, though. So I will talk to you guys soon.